What's up? How you doing? Oh, you are too kind. What's going on? Welcome to my live. Oh, you're from the UK, so it's morning for you. Hello. My friends on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram. What's popping? Lewis, what's up? You're up early, right? It is like, is it 5 a.m. your time? Are you an early morning bird? Hello, friends. Let me see if I can make the music work. 5 a.m. Are you an early morning bird? I am not. I am a late nighter. It is 10 p.m. where I am on the West Coast. Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can get some music playing. Only those not on TikTok can hear the music because my live stream access for TikTok has been, I don't know, turned off somehow. I don't know what I did. I did something wrong. Okay. Now, I don't even know if people can hear me on my mic. But here we go. Oh, you've been up all night. Let me make my phone base more stable because I've had it fall down before. If you are on the tube or on Twitch, can you let me know if you can hear me? Thank you. Heather, what's up? Lewis, you're so sweet. Heather, how are you? Let's see. Oh, I can't hear anything actually. That's terrifying. Oh, my mic was auto-adjusting. You're so sweet, Lewis. Thank you. Hey, Bonnie. Can you hear me? Lewis, you're so sweet. From your last name, I'm gonna guess, is your family from Ghana? Oh, Heather, so I don't know. They haven't told me yet. Oh, I think it's coming through. Okay. I don't know why I can't hear anything. Ooh. Hold on. Is it too low? Oh, this is your pen name. What do you write? Heather, I haven't heard back. Hey, Blue. How are you? My mic is acting up. I'm so sorry, friends. Give me... No, it's not my mic. It's not my mic. It was my headphones. Hey, Louie, how are you? Hey. Bonnie, I am so glad you're here, even if it's just for a few minutes. You are too sweet. I have a real life friend on my live, okay? Can't tell me nothing. Oh, your work in progress is a new adult black POC fantasy. That sounds really good. Black Panther meets the Crown? Okay. I am very excited to see how that, right? Nikki, yeah, I would love to read that book. I would love to read that book. It sounds fun. Oh my gosh. I'm already transported. What a world. What a world. Oh my God. How much world building. Oh, right? Bonnie. Sorry, y'all. My hands are ashy. Ashy hands ASMR. So dry. Oh, you want me to voice it? Stop. We could talk about it. I'm not gonna say no immediately. But that would be so fun. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? You're the same wavelength as my friend. She just said you should read it to us. He says he's still. Is it a he? Don't let me just assume your gender. They said that they are writing it now. It's a work in progress. So, right? It's a he. Yeah. I would love to be considered. How exciting. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am red in the face, but you can't tell. No, seriously, my cheeks are hot. That's so exciting. My camera keeps losing focus. I don't know what's going on. It hates me today. My eager, there's an eager audience waiting. Yeah. What's going on? Seems to look bad on the tube. Okay, our tube friends are all late today because, I don't know, they're tired. It's Tuesday, but it feels like it should be Thursday already, doesn't it? I feel that way. My vibes alone qualifies me. What? I wish I could like do a live dance as part of the book. Well, thank you. I'm so honored. Thank you. Friends, I can't stop smiling. My cheeks hurt. My cheeks hurt. I have a link tree and you can send me like a request. I put in a Google form, I think, and I will get back to you very quickly. Let me caveat that I'm very new, very, very new. Like I'm about to maybe record my first book. So I'm super new. Just want to be fully transparent. But I'm so excited to do this work. I think it's awesome. Oh no, so much pressure. Too much pressure. Oh, it's not Thursday. I know you can't. Yeah. Hey, Jace. Is it Jesse? Oh, yeah. I've seen you. Are you an author or a narrator? I've seen you. I know it's not Thursday yet. Lewis, you should come back on Thursday. Thursday, we have spiciness. We have a segment at the end of the live called Nisi After Dark, where I ask the community members to share a food item, some meal or whatever. I put it into Claude AI and we write a spicy romantic story that is actually about someone eating food, like enjoying the food and rhapsodizing about the food. It's great. We think it's great. It's fun. All right, the mic's gonna, not the mic, the phone. I'm telling you, this thing has really like messed with my flow, but the quality of my phone camera, man, I think the new camera is a tad jealous. Anyway, do we have everybody here? We have about 3 minutes. Let's see. Is Maria? Oh! We have physical comedy as well as part of this show. Oh my god. Oh my like, this is like the 4th or 5th time this has happened in my life. Too much equipment, friends. I don't... My face is so hot. Thank God I don't... Well, Lewis, yeah, these are the shenanigans that we amuse ourselves with over here. When I first started doing this, I had a tissue box with books on top and a mic on it, and we graduated to a boom mic stand. But I also have an empty box. I used to keep all my pens and stuff in it. It's just an empty wooden box, but it's so cute. I didn't want to get rid of it. So it's become my Kindle stand because this one is too short. Look at that. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. So I make do with what I have. So that is my Kindle stand, and that's where we'll be reading from today. I know my phone is blocking just my phone. And then I know we have to start somewhere. I mean, it's fun. It cracks me up because some of the OGs on here will be like, thank God we missed that tissue box, or at least you've graduated from the tissue box. I used to only use the phone, so it wasn't a problem. But then because TikTok had that shutdown shenanigan, all the shenanigans just got me annoyed. And so I looked for alternatives, and I found the Streamlabs app where I can stream from my computer to multiple places. So that's what I've been using since January. And then all of a sudden yesterday I tried to get on and they're like, your TikTok access has been revoked. And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. It's not Thursday. I didn't do nothing. On Thursdays I get spicy, but I didn't do nothing this time, I promise. It's 10:30. Let's do a quick roll call. Is Maria here? Is Donna here? I don't see Stella. Ooh. Where? Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, no, it's great because I can stream, and now you can see me too on IG. I'm on Twitch, and I'm on, what do you call that bad boy? YouTube as well, which is super helpful. Okay. Do I do accents? Oh, thank you, Nikki. I do not intentionally do accents yet, but I can speak in an accent. My family is from Ghana. I grew up in Ghana, so I can switch to a Ghanaian accent. Stella is here. Stella has me on her TV. What? Every time you tell me that, I'm like, what? That is so cool. I must be looking all huge on there. Hi, Stella. So, oh yay, Maria is here. Great. So Lewis, I haven't really done accents yet. I've played with them on the lives. We did The Secret Garden, and I tried to go study the Yorkshire accent a bit and try it on. It wasn't great, but I think it conveyed. Oh, Nikki has me on the TV too. I am embarrassed. Oh my God. Bunny is over here making me blush some more. Stop it. I'm perfect for your book. Oh, Lewis. What? It deserves a little shimmy. Let's go. Gotta shimmy. Oh, shimmy. Let me shimmy all the excitement out. Oh, so sweet. Hey, Zanita. How are you? We've had quite a bit of action, and it's only been 15 minutes into the live. Okay. Let's get started. I'm trying to figure out the best way to angle this so I'm not looking at two separate places. I want to bring it. Okay, I'm not blocking it yet. Okay. Here we go. Whew. No, Maria, did we decide on the next book? Y'all may have decided, but I have not gone to check the spreadsheet today, so I will. So if you haven't gotten your vote in yet, you still have a few minutes before. So Anna's back. So I have a subscription program. What am I talking about? Subscription program. There's a subscription where, and they're called the Dusk and Prose Society. If you're a member, if you're a subscriber, you get to nominate your favorite classic book that's in the public domain, and then you get to vote on it. So the group have just been voting so we can choose our next book. I have not yet checked the spreadsheet since I sent the last nudge. So, wow, I'm out of breath today. Whew. Is it all the excitement? I'm trying to think. Okay. Hopefully there isn't too much huffing and puffing as I read. Okay. Let's get started. You ready? What you drinking? I got my tea. I got some water. What y'all drinking? What you drinking? What you drinking? I can do a promo narration for starters. I did a few. If you check on my account, we had some event last year. It was called Human Voices Only, and I did for 10 indie authors. I just read like a paragraph. One of them has come back and might be using me for their book. Agua, Alyssa, hey. But yeah, Lewis, if you want me to do a snippet of your book, I'd be happy to. Like a short paragraph. I'm happy. I've done it I did it for like 10 authors. So let's try it. See how it goes. Okay. I don't know if Donna is here. Excuse me. Mouth sounds and stomach sounds, man. Just throw you off your game. Okay, let me send to Donna. Lemon essential oil in Aquafina. That's what you're drinking? What does it help? What does it help with? I do like lemon. Okay. Grab your snuggle bunnies, get comfy, grab your project if you are doing one, and let us read. Maybe a sample chapter or a few paragraphs for Spicy Thursday. That's an idea. We could do that. Hibiscus tea. That sounds delicious, Louie. That sounds delicious. What are you drinking, Bonnie? Mint tea. Ooh. I know. I don't know what are you drinking, but I'm always like sipping on water or coffee or whatever. And it's interesting to find out like all the other drinks out there. Okay. Let's get started. Chapter 18 of Volume 3 of Emma by Jane Austen. Time passed on. A few more tomorrows and the party from London would be arriving. It was an alarming change, and Emma was thinking of it one morning as what must bring a great deal to agitate and grieve her when Mr. Knightley came in and distressing thoughts were put by. After the first chat of pleasure, he was silent, and then, in a graver tone, began with, "I have something to tell you, Emma, some news." "Good or bad?" said she, quickly looking up in his face. I do not know which it ought to be called. Oh, good, I am sure. I see it in your countenance. You are trying not to smile. I am afraid, said he, composing his features. I am very much afraid, my dear Emma, that you will not smile when you hear it. Indeed, but why so? I can hardly imagine that anything which pleases or amuses you should not please and amuse me too. There is one subject, he replied, I hope but one, on which we do not think alike. He paused a moment, again smiling, with his eyes fixed on her face. Does nothing occur to you? Do you not recollect? Harriet Smith. Her cheeks flushed at the name, and she felt afraid of something, though she knew not what. Have you heard from her yourself this morning? Cried he. You have, I believe, and know the whole. No, I have not. I know nothing. Pray tell me. You are prepared for the worst, I see, and very bad it is. Harriet Smith marries Robert Martin. I called it. I called it. I told y'all that would happen. I told y'all. Well, of course, those of you who read it already knew. Okay, sorry. Back. Emma gave a start, which did not seem like being prepared, and her eyes, in eager gaze, said, No, this is impossible. But her lips were closed. It is so indeed, continued Mr. Knightley. I have it from Robert Martin himself. He left me not half an hour ago. She was still looking at him with the most speaking amazement. You like it, my Emma, as little as I feared. I wish our opinions were the same, but in time they will. Time, you may be sure, will make one or the other of us think differently. And, in the meanwhile, we need not talk much on the subject. You mistake me, you quite mistake me, she replied, exerting herself. It is not that such a circumstance would now make me unhappy, but I cannot believe it. It seems an impossibility. You cannot mean to say that Harriet Smith has accepted Robert Martin. You cannot mean that he has even proposed to her again yet. You only mean that he intends it. Accepted. Good God, she cried. Well. Then, having recourse to her work basket in excuse for leaning down her face and concealing all the exquisite feelings of delight and entertainment which she knew she must be expressing, she added, Well, now tell me everything. Make this intelligible to me. How? Where? When? Let me know it all. I never was more surprised, but it does not make me unhappy, I assure you. How has it been possible? It is a very simple story. He went to town on business 3 days ago, and I got him to take charge of some papers which I was wanting to send to John. He delivered these papers to John at his chambers, and was asked by him to join their party the same evening to Astley's. They were going to take the 2 eldest boys to Astley's. The party was to be our brother and sister, Henry, John, and Miss Smith. My friend Robert could not resist. They called for him in their way, were all extremely amused, and my brother asked him to dine with them the next day, which he did. And in the course of that visit, as I understand, he found an opportunity of speaking to Harriet, and certainly did not speak in vain. She made him, by her acceptance, as happy even as he is deserving. He came down by yesterday's coach and was with me this morning immediately after breakfast to report his proceedings, first on my affairs and then on his own. This is all that I can relate of the how, where, and when. Your friend Harriet will make a much longer history when you see her. She will give you all the minute particulars which only woman's language can make interesting. In our communications, we deal only in the great. However, I must say that Robert Martin's heart seemed for him, and to me, very overflowing, and that he did mention, without its being much to the purpose, that on quitting their box at Astley's, my brother took charge of Mrs. John Knightley and Little John, and he followed with Miss Smith and Henry, and that at one time they were in such a crowd as to make Miss Smith rather uneasy. He stopped. Emma dared not attempt any immediate reply. To speak, she was sure, would be to betray a most unreasonable degree of happiness. She must wait a moment, or he would think her mad. Her silence disturbed him, and, after observing her a little while, he added, "Emma, my love, you said that this circumstance would not now make you unhappy, but I am afraid it gives you more pain than you expected. His situation is an evil, but you must consider it as what satisfies your friend, and I will answer for your thinking better and better of him as you know him more. His good sense and good principles would delight you. As far as the man is concerned, you could not wish your friend in better hands. His rank in society I would alter if I could, which is saying a great deal, I assure you, Emma. You laugh at me about William Larkins, but I could quite as ill spare Robert Martin." He wanted her to look up and smile, and having now brought herself not to smile too broadly, she did, cheerfully answering, "You need not be at any pains to reconcile me to the match. I think Harriet is doing extremely well. Her connections may be worse than his. In respectability of character, there can be no doubt that they are. I have been silent from surprise merely, excessive surprise. You cannot imagine how suddenly it has come on me, how peculiarly unprepared I was, for I had reason to believe her very lately more determined against him, much more than she was before." "You ought to know your friend best," replied Mr. Knightley, "but I should say she was a good-tempered, soft-hearted girl, not likely to be very, very determined against any young man who told her he loved her." Emma could not help laughing as she answered, "Upon my word, I believe you know her quite as well as I do. But, Mr. Knightley, are you perfectly sure that she has absolutely and downright accepted him? I could suppose she might in time, but can she already? Did you not misunderstand him? You were both talking of other things, of business, shows of cattle, or new drills, and might not you, in the confusion of so many subjects, mistake him? It was not Harriet's hand that he was certain of. It was the dimensions of some famous ox." Emma is not serious. She is not serious at all. The contrast between the countenance and air of Mr. Knightley and Robert Martin was, at this moment, so strong to Emma's feelings, and so strong was the recollection of all that had so recently passed on Harriet's side, so fresh the sound of those words, spoken with such emphasis. No, I hope I know better than to think of Robert Martin, that she was really expecting the intelligence to prove, in some measure, premature. It could not be otherwise. "Do you dare say this?" cried Mr. Knightley. "Do you dare to suppose me so great a blockhead as not to know what a man is talking of? What do you deserve?" "Oh, I always deserve the best treatment, because I never put up with any other, and therefore you must give me a plain, direct answer. Are you quite sure that you understand the terms on which Mr. Martin and Harriet now are?" My sister just joined. "I am quite sure," he replied, speaking very distinctly, "that he told me she had accepted him, and that there was no obscurity, nothing doubtful, in the words he used. And I think I can give you a proof that it must be so. He asked my opinion as to what he was now to do. He knew of no one but Mrs. Goddard to whom he could apply for information of her relations or friends. Could I mention anything more fit to be done than to go to Mrs. Goddard? I assured him that I could not. Then he said he would endeavour to see her in the course of this day." "I am perfectly satisfied," replied Emma with the brightest smiles, "and most sincerely wish them happy." "You are materially changed since we talked on the subject before." "I hope so, for at that time I was a fool." "And I am changed also, for I am now very willing to grant you all Harriet's good qualities. I have taken some pains for your sake, and for Robert Martin's sake, whom I have always had reason to believe as much in love with her as ever, to get acquainted with her. I have often talked to her a good deal. You must have seen that I did. Sometimes, indeed, I have thought you were half suspecting me of pleading poor Martin's cause, which was never the case. But from all my observations, I am convinced of her being an artless, amiable girl, with very good notions, very seriously good principles, and placing her happiness in the affections and utility of domestic life. Much of this, I have no doubt, she may thank you for." "Me?" cried Emma, shaking her head. "Ah, poor Harriet!" She checked herself, however, and submitted quietly to a little more praise than she deserved. Their conversation was soon afterwards closed by the entrance of her father. She was not sorry. She wanted to be alone. Her mind was in a state of flutter and wonder, which made it impossible for her to be collected. She was in dancing, singing, exclaiming spirits, until she had moved about and talked to herself and laughed and reflected. She could be fit for nothing rational. Her father's business was to announce James's being gone out to put the horses to, preparatory to their now daily drive to Randall's, and she had, therefore, an immediate excuse for disappearing. The joy, the gratitude, the exquisite delight of her sensations may be imagined. The sole grievance and alloy thus removed in the prospect of Harriet's welfare, she was really in danger of becoming too happy for security. What had she to wish for? Nothing but to grow more worthy of him. whose intentions and judgment had been ever so superior to her own. Nothing but that the lessons of her past folly might teach her humility and circumspection in future. Serious she was, very serious in her thankfulness and in her resolutions. And yet there was no preventing a laugh, sometimes in the very midst of them. She must laugh at such a close, such an end of the doleful disappointment of 5 weeks back. Such a heart, such a Harriet. Now there would be pleasure in her returning. Everything would be a pleasure. It would be a great pleasure to know Robert Martin. High in the rank of her most serious and heartfelt felicities was the reflection that all necessity of concealment from Mr. Knightley would soon be over. The disguise, equivocation, mystery, so hateful to her to practice, might soon be over. She could now look forward to giving him that full and perfect confidence which her disposition was most ready to welcome as a duty. In the gayest and happiest spirits she set forward with her father, not always listening, but always agreeing to what he said, and whether in speech or silence, conniving at the comfortable persuasion of his being obliged to go to Randall's every day, or poor Mrs. Weston would be disappointed. They arrived. Mrs. Weston was alone in the drawing-room, but hardly had they been told of the baby, and Mr. Woodhouse received the thanks for coming, which he asked for, when a glimpse was caught through the blind of 2 figures passing near the window. "It is Frank and Miss Fairfax," said Mrs. Weston. "I was just going to tell you of our agreeable surprise in seeing him arrive this morning. He stays till tomorrow, and Miss Fairfax has been persuaded to spend the day with us. They are coming in, I hope." In half a minute they were in the room. Emma was extremely glad to see him, but there was a degree of confusion, a number of embarrassing recollections on each side. They met readily and smiling, but with a consciousness which at first allowed little to be said. And having all sat down again, there was for some time such a blank in the circle that Emma began to doubt whether the wish now indulged, which she had long felt, of seeing Frank Churchill once more, and of seeing him with Jane, would yield its proportion of pleasure. When Mr. Weston joined the party, however, and when the baby was fetched, there was no longer a want of subject or animation, or of courage and opportunity for Frank Churchill to draw near her and say, "I have to thank you, Miss Woodhouse, for a very kind, forgiving message in one of Mrs. Weston's letters. I hope time has not made you less willing to pardon. I hope you do not retract what you then said." "No, indeed," cried Emma, most happy to begin. "Not in the least. I am particularly glad to see and shake hands with you, and to give you joy in person." He thanked her with all his heart, and continued some time to speak with serious feeling of his gratitude and happiness. "Is not she looking well?" said he, turning his eyes towards Jane. "Better than she ever used to do? You see how my father and Mrs. Weston dote upon her." But his spirits were soon rising again, and with laughing eyes, after mentioning the expected return of the Campbells, he named the name of Dixon. Emma blushed, and forbade its being pronounced in her hearing. "I can never think of it without extreme shame," she cried. "The shame," he answered, "is all mine, or ought to be. But is it possible that you had no suspicion, I mean of late, Early, I know, you had none. I never had the smallest, I assure you. That appears quite wonderful. I was once very near, and I wish I had. It would have been better. But though I was always doing wrong things, they were very bad wrong things, and such as did me no service. It would have been a much better transgression had I broken the bond of secrecy and told you everything. It is not now worth a regret, said Emma. I have some hope, resumed he, of my uncle's being persuaded to pay a visit at Randall's. He wants to be introduced to her. When the Campbells are returned, we shall meet them in London and continue there, I trust, till we may carry her northward. But now I am at such a distance from her. Is not it hard, Miss Woodhouse? Till this morning we have not once met since the day of reconciliation. Do not you pity me? Emma spoke her pity so very kindly that with a sudden accession of gay thought he cried, "Ah, by the by!" Then sinking his voice and looking demure for the moment, "I hope Mr. Knightley is well." He paused. She coloured and laughed. "I know you saw my letter, and think you may remember my wish in your favour. Let me return your congratulations. I assure you that I have heard the news with the warmest interest and satisfaction. He is a man whom I cannot presume to praise." Emma was delighted and only wanted him to go on in the same style. But his mind was the next moment in his own concerns and with his own Jane, and his next words were, "Did you ever see such a skin, such smoothness, such delicacy, and yet without being actually fair? One cannot call her fair. It is a most uncommon complexion, with her dark eyelashes and hair, a most distinguishing complexion. So peculiarly the lady in it, just colour enough for beauty." "I have always admired her complexion," replied Emma archly, "but do not I remember the time when you found fault with her for being so pale? When we first began to talk of her, have you quite forgotten?" "Oh, no. What an impudent dog I was! How could I dare?" But he laughed so heartily at the recollection that Emma could not help saying, "I do suspect that in the midst of your perplexities at that time, you had very great amusement in tricking us all. I am sure you had. I am sure it was a consolation to you." "Oh, no, no, no. How can you suspect me of such a thing? I was the most miserable wretch." "Not quite so miserable as to be insensible to mirth. I am sure it was a source of high entertainment to you, to feel that you were taking us all in. Perhaps I am the readier to suspect because, to tell you the truth, I think it might have been some amusement to myself in the same situation. I think there is a little likeness between us." He bowed. "If not in our dispositions," she presently added, with a look of true sensibility, "there is a likeness in our destiny. The destiny which bids fair to connect us with two characters so much superior to our own." "True, true," he answered warmly. "No, not true on your side. You can have no superior, but most true on mine. She is a complete angel. Look at her. Is not she an angel in every gesture? Observe the turn of her throat. Observe her eyes as she is looking up at my father. You will be glad to hear," inclining his head and whispering seriously, "that my uncle means to give her all my aunt's jewels. They are to be a new set. I am resolved to have some in an ornament for the head. Will not it be beautiful in her dark hair?" "Very beautiful indeed," replied Emma, and she spoke so kindly that he gratefully burst out, "How delighted I am to see you again, and to see you in such excellent looks. I would not have missed this meeting for the world. I should certainly have called at Hartfield had you failed to come." The others had been talking of the child, Mrs. Westing giving an account of a little alarm she had been under the evening before, from the infant's appearing not quite well. She believed she had been foolish, but it had alarmed her, and she had been within half a minute of sending for Mr. Perry. Perhaps she ought to be ashamed, but Mr. Weston had been almost as uneasy as herself. In 10 minutes, however, the child had been perfectly well again. This was her history, and particularly interesting it was to Mr. Woodhouse, who commended her very much for thinking of sending for Perry, and only regretted that she had not done it. "She should always send for Perry if the child appeared in the slightest degree disordered, were it only for a moment. She could not be too soon alarmed, nor send for Perry too often. It was a pity, perhaps, that he had not come last night, for, though the child seemed well now, very well considering, it would probably have been better if Perry had seen it." Frank Churchill caught the name. "Perry," said he to Emma, and trying, as he spoke, to catch Miss Fairfax's eye, "My friend, Mr. Perry. What are they saying about Mr. Perry? Has he been here this morning? And how does he travel now? Has he set up his carriage?" Emma soon recollected and understood him, and while she joined in the laugh, it was evident from Jane's countenance that she too was really hearing him, though trying to seem deaf. "Such an extraordinary dream of mine," he cried. "I can never think of it without laughing. She hears us, Miss Woodhouse. I see it in her cheek, her smile, her vain attempt to frown. Okay, this man is so in love." He is so in love. I am feeling uncomfortable. What? Her cheeks, her throat, her hair. He loves her. He is so into her. Okay. Look at her. Do not you see that at this instant? The very passage of her own letter which sent me the report is passing under her eye, that the whole blunder is spread before her, that she can attend to nothing else, though pretending to listen to the others. Hey, Lewis, I will respond. Let me finish the chapter. I try to finish the chapter and then I will go through and respond. So just hold on for me a little bit. Jane was forced to smile completely for a moment, and the smile partly remained as she turned towards him and said in a conscious, low yet steady voice, "How can you bear such recollections is astonishing to me. They will sometimes obtrude, but how can you court them?" Don't worry about it. He had a great deal to say in return, and very entertainingly, but Emma's feelings were chiefly with Jane in the argument, and on leaving Randall's and falling naturally into a comparison of the two men, she felt that, pleased as she had been to see Frank Churchill, and really regarding him as she did with friendship, she had never been more sensible of Mr. Knightley's high superiority of character. The happiness of this most happy day, received its completion in the animated contemplation of his worth which this comparison produced. And that was chapter 18 of volume 3 of Emma. And so I think this is the last chapter. We have just chapter 19 to go. And I don't know if I want to read it tonight. Let me see what you said, Lewis. Give me a second. Let me catch up. Okay, so you said your work in progress can be quite brutal and intense at times. Do you mind that? I don't know if I mind that. So if you have like a sample chapter that you want me to review and let you know if I'm comfortable with it or not, we can take it from there. But I can't say yet. And then let me see what you said. Oh, you said my voice is so sweet. Oh, wow, thank you. There's a male character whose tone of voice matches yours perfectly well. Come on now, let's go. Thank you. Thank you for showing up to my live today and adding to all this beauty and love. The community here is so supportive, and you just come and added your own little sprinkle in there. Let's check on the people on the tube and on IG and Twitch. So what's it? Oh, it is a very short chapter. Belle, what are you doing? Belle, what are you doing? How many pages? Okay, I will check. I was not gonna. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. Oh my God, it's 10. It's 10 pages. Fine. I'll finish the book right now. Then we have to have a book. Only 10, I know. Gotta finish it. Tag nabbit, Maria and Belle. Finger wagging. Hold on. I'm gonna go to no, that's not what I'm looking for. I am gonna go to the spreadsheet right now and see what we have. Let's see. I joined my live. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. Okay. What am I seeing? Okay, a few more people voted. Oh my, we have. Oh, Donna sent me her vote. Let me make sure I put it in. But I will tell you that there are 2 books currently in the lead: My Little Princess and Frankenstein. So it could be. Oh, thank you, Lois. This is growth and progress. I've definitely gotten a little better. I will. Oh my. Oh, sorry. Let's not touch the mic. Thank you, Dee. Hey, Dee. So, if you listen to the reading from the beginning till now, I think Mr. Frank Churchill has had a different voice almost every chapter. Okay, so here's where we are at. Little Princess and Frankenstein are in the lead. I think Donna couldn't get the link to work, so she sent me her vote. So I will add her vote, tabulate it, and then post the winner the winner. Okay, let's do this last chapter, 10 pages. Let's go. Let's get a little wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Shake. Okay. Me reading and fangirling. This was mild. We've had moments where we've gone crazy on the live. But it's fun. We talk smack about the characters and about Miss Jane Austen. Alrighty, here we go, friends. The last chapter of Emma by Jane Austen. Chapter 19 of Volume 3 of Emma. If Emma had still, at intervals, an anxious feeling for Harriet, a momentary doubt of its being possible for her to be really cured of her attachment to Mr. Knightley, and really able to accept another man from unbiased inclination, it was not long that she had to suffer from the recurrence of any such uncertainty. A very few days brought the party from London, and she had no sooner an opportunity of being 1 hour alone with Harriet than she became perfectly satisfied, unaccountable as it was, that Robert Martin had thoroughly supplanted Mr. Knightley and was now forming all her views of happiness. Harriet was a little distressed, did look a little foolish at first, but having once owned that she had been presumptuous and silly and self-deceived before, her pain and confusion seemed to die away with the words, and leave her without a care for the past, and with the fullest exultation in the present and future, for, as to her friend's approbation, Emma had instantly removed every fear of that nature by meeting her with the most unqualified congratulations. Harriet was most happy to give every particular of the evening at Astley's and the dinner the next day. She could dwell on it all with the utmost delight. But what did such particulars explain? The fact was, as Emma could now acknowledge, that Harriet had always liked Robert Martin, and that his continuing to love her had been irresistible. Beyond this, it must ever be unintelligible to Emma. The event, however, was most joyful, and every day was giving her fresh reason for thinking so. Harriet's parentage became known. She proved to be the daughter of a tradesman, rich enough to afford her the comfortable maintenance which had ever been hers, and decent enough to have always wished for concealment. Such was the blood of gentility which Emma had formerly been so ready to vouch for. It was likely to be as untainted, perhaps, as the blood of many a gentleman. But what a connection had she been preparing for Mr. Knightley, or for the Churchills, or even for Mr. Elton? The stain of illegitimacy, unbleached by nobility or wealth, would have been a stain indeed. No objection was raised on the father's side. The young man was treated liberally. It was all as it should be, and as Emma became acquainted with Robert Martin, who was now introduced at Hartfield, she fully acknowledged in him all the appearance of sense and worth which could bid fairest for her little friend. She had no doubt of Harriet's happiness with any good-tempered man. I think something fell in the house. She had no doubt of Harriet's happiness with any good-tempered man, but with him, and in the home he offered, there would be the hope of more, of security, stability, and improvement. She would be placed in the midst of those who loved her, and who had better sense, than herself, retired enough for safety, and occupied enough for cheerfulness. She would be never led into temptation, nor left for it to find her out. She would be respectable and happy, and Emma admitted her to be the luckiest creature in the world, to have created so steady and persevering an affection in such a man, or, if not quite the luckiest, to yield only to herself. Harriet, necessarily drawn away by her engagements with the Martins, was less and less at Hartfield, which was not to be regretted. The intimacy between her and Emma must sink. Their friendship must change into a calmer sort of goodwill. And, fortunately, what ought to be and must be seemed already beginning, and in the most gradual, natural manner. Before the end of September, Emma attended Harriet to church and saw her hand bestowed on Robert Martin with so complete a satisfaction as no remembrances, even connected with Mr. Elton as he stood before them, could impair. Perhaps, indeed, at that time she scarcely saw Mr. Elton, but as the clergyman whose blessing at the altar might next fall on herself. Robert Martin and Harriet Smith, the latest couple engaged of the three, were the first to be married. Jane Fairfax had already quitted Highbury and was restored to the comforts of her beloved home with the Campbells. The Mr. Churchills were also in town, and they were only waiting for November. The intermediate month was the one fixed on, as far as they dared, by Emma and Mr. Knightley. They had determined that their marriage ought to be concluded while John and Isabella were still at Hartfield, to allow them the fortnight's absence in a tour to the seaside, which was the plan. John and Isabella and every other friend were agreed in approving it. But Mr. Woodhouse, how was Mr. Woodhouse to be induced to consent? He who had never yet alluded to their marriage but as a distant event. When first sounded on the subject, he was so miserable that they were almost hopeless. A second allusion, indeed, gave less pain. He began to think it was to be, and that he could not prevent it. A very promising step of the mind on its way to resignation. Still, however, he was not happy. Nay, he appeared so much otherwise that his daughter's courage failed. She could not bear to see him suffering, to know him fancying himself neglected, and though her understanding almost acquiesced over too, she hesitated. She could not proceed. In this state of suspense they were befriended, not by any sudden illumination of Mr. Woodhouse's mind, or any wonderful change of his nervous system, but by the operation of the same system in another way. Mrs. Weston's poultry house was robbed one night of all her turkeys, evidently by the ingenuity of man. Other poultry yards in the neighborhood also suffered. Pilfering was housebreaking to Mr. Woodhouse's fears. He was very uneasy, and but for the sense of his son-in-law's protection, would have been under wretched alarm every night of his life. The strength, resolution, and presence of mind of the Mr. Knightleys commanded his fullest dependence. While either of them protected him and his, Hartfield was safe. But Mr. John Knightley must be in London again by the end of the first week in November. The result of this distress was that, with a much more voluntary, cheerful consent than his daughter had ever presumed to hope for at the moment, she was able to fix her wedding day, and Mr. Elton was called on within a month from the marriage of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Martin to join the hands of Mr. Knightley and Miss Woodhouse. The wedding was very much like other weddings, where the parties have no taste for finery or parade, and Mrs. Elton, from the particulars detailed by her husband, thought it all extremely shabby and very inferior to her own. Very little white satin, very few lace veils, a most pitiful business. Selina would stare when she heard of it. But, in spite of these deficiencies, the wishes, the hopes, the confidence, the predictions of the small band of true friends who witnessed the ceremony were fully answered in the perfect happiness of the union. The end. Oh my God, friends. We finished Emma by Jane Austen. We deserve a round of applause, y'all. All of us. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, so what is our next book? I have no clue. Let me find Emma's. Wait, not Emma. Let me find Donna's message. It's. Why is it not showing on here? It's so funny. Okay, here we go. It's loading. It had cached like an old message, and okay, here we go. Oscar Wilde, anything described as a comedy. Oh my Lord. Okay, for all of you who voted, are any of the books you voted for a comedy? Help me out. I'm gonna vote for Donna right now. I'm gonna put her vote in there. If not, I'm just gonna vote for what I want. Okay, my bad. The mic is not happy with me. Okay, let me put it in here. Okay, the one that's winning is the one I'm gonna find. It doesn't sound like a comedy. Dun dun dun. Ooh, my gosh. Okay, this is hard. But The Little Princess and Frankenstein. I don't think Frankenstein is a comedy. I don't think I've ever heard Frankenstein be described as a comedy. So I am going to add Donna's vote to that one. And thank you, Blue. Thank you, Belle. Thank you, Lewis. Which one is a horror? Yeah, Frankenstein is a horror. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We were gonna do a horror for. We were going to do a horror. We were gonna do Frankenstein for, Halloween, but I think we were reading Sherlock Holmes at that time, right? We were doing Sherlock Holmes. So, okay. The winner is The Little Princess. Yay! I've been waiting for one of y'all to pick. I've been waiting for one of y'all to pick. What do you call it? Sense and Sensibility, The Scarlet Letter, Madame Bovary. I'm waiting for those books. But you know what? our fifth book. So this is our sixth. We'll keep trucking. So we're doing The Little Princess. I know nothing of the story, so I have to go read like a quick snippet of it so I can generate my little image for the and Sense and Sensibility. Let me see. Did Sense and Sensibility get any votes? It didn't. It didn't get any votes this time. Frankenstein got 2. Little Princess got 3. My Man Jeeves got 1. Let's see. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz got 1, and then Jane Eyre got 1. I know. That's, yeah. So, next time. There's so many books in the public domain, so, we'll get there. And maybe we'll have a few more people join the Dusk and Prose Society, so there'll be more competition. How could I? Yeah, you did it, Belle. You know what you did? You voted for The Little Princess. Yay, we have our new book. Yay. Let me see. Stella and Anna. Okay. Arthur Conan Doyle wrote more story collections about Sherlock. Is that on our list yet? You have to go lobby, Stella, lobby the Dusk and Pro Society members, get them on there. I will read it so long as it's not too boring. Like, nobody put Anna Karenina there. I'm not reading Anna Karenina. I'm not reading that. I'm sorry. I'm not reading Tolstoy at all. I had to read Anna Karenina for a dramaturgy class in college. I don't think I finished it. I do not think I finished it. So let's not. I will fall asleep on here and be like, it's over. Don't read Anna. Yeah, no, Anna is not the one. Anna is not the one or the two. We won't do that. But we've read some great books. We have read some really, really good books. I'm excited. I need to make a note of what we've decided. Oh, you read it for book club last month. That is a thick book. Well, it's 11:30. I was saying I was gonna go to bed, but that's a lie. I'm not gonna go to bed, but I'm gonna go do a few minutes of my audio voiceover acting business boot camp, since I'm getting a little bit of interest. We have Lewis here and the other author who's considering me for their book. So I want to make sure that I'm prepared. I'm prepared to be a professional narrator. You know. I hope we never read The Hobbit. I had to read it in school and I wasn't a fan. The number of, hey, it's your girl Darian. Hi, on IG. Nice to see you. The number of times I fell asleep trying to read The Hobbit. Just fell asleep. You're gonna make tea and watch Nosferatu. The movie, Anna? The new movie that came right now? Dang. Character art being posted this Thursday. Louis! Yes! Congrats! Donna's here. How many months have y'all been here with me? Y'all are so cool. Do you know that? You're so cool. I love it. Thank you for always hanging with me on here. I love it. No, Stella, no. It's the same way I always fell asleep when I tried to study for the MCAT. So even though my heart wanted to be a pediatrician, I couldn't ever study to write the MCAT. Just could not. So, but here we are. A friend of mine, she and I went to high school together, and so she called me today, and we're just chit chatting and shooting the breeze and acting a fool. And I told her she's done her PhD and she works in a research facility in Texas. And so I was telling her I had really wanted to do a PhD, and she was like, "In what?" And I was like, "Well, that was the problem. I could not choose what I wanted to do my PhD in because I do love to teach, but PhDs don't necessarily teach you how to teach." My background is in public health, the use of qualitative methods to improve public health, especially international health. But there were so many other things I was interested in. I took classes in, oh my God, this is another word that I always mispronounce. Adolescent. Listen, I told you all my thesis was on teenage pregnancy and I could not pronounce that word. And I still today I'm suffering. I have to, adolescent. I think so. I took adolescent health. I took women's health. I took health and human, what was it called? Economic determinants of health. I took all the classes and I loved all of them because I always think that even though focusing on one aspect of the work is important, I'm always seeing how all the different threads tie together, right, to affect people's life. And I think that's what all of us are, well, not all of us, but a lot of us who may not have paid attention to politics and the role that political decisions affect our lives, we are now seeing it that all of these things are interrelated, they're interconnected. And that's what I really loved about public health. So choosing one thing to study for 6 or 7 years, I could not. And so I didn't do a PhD. And she was like, that's what's the problem with people like you who have so many things that you're good at and you're interested in. And I was like, that is so true. That is so true. It's quite a problem. But now I'm here. This is my new phase of life. So I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to do my best and keep hanging with you all until you get tired of me. Anyway, Lewis, thank you for joining us. All of you. Zanita, I saw Zanita. I saw Dee. I saw Blue. I saw Nikki. I saw Maria and Alyssa, right? I saw Belle, Stella and Anna, and Julia. Hey, Julia. Julia on YouTube. Welcome. And then I have, oh, girl Darren. Oh, Darren. She's on YouTube. No, she's on TikTok and Instagram. You're so sweet. You are so sweet. Thank you. There's nobody on Twitch this time, just me. Or maybe there is and I'm not seeing them, but wherever you are, whoever you are, thank you. Have a lovely night. I so appreciate you. Thank you. I look forward to this with you all the nights. And I hope to see you tomorrow. We're going to start The Little Princess. Yay! Have a good night. Bye. Sleep.